Thanks for joining us here on NewsNation Rush Hour. I'm Nichole Berlie, and President Biden says the U.S. will send Ukraine rocket systems with a longer range than those in previous military aid packages. That announcement coming as Friday will mark 100 days since Russia's invasion. We are joined now by retired Marine Colonel Mark Cancian. He's a senior advisor with the Center for Strategic and International Studies in Washington. Colonel, thank you so much for being with us.
Thanks for having me on the show.
All right, so tell us what makes these high-mobility artillery rocket systems so significant?
Well, they're significant because they have much longer range than the cannon artillery that we provided to the Ukrainians before, and that allows them to go after the Russian artillery and the Russian rockets, which are causing so much destruction. Most of the explosions that you see on social media come from the Russian artillery. Russians rely on it very heavily. These systems, the rockets, are particularly well suited to attack these targets because they can go deep, they can go along the front, and they also deliver a tremendous amount of firepower very quickly, and that's the conventional version. The guided version, of course, will hit exactly where it's set, and that, again, can be very effective for counter battery fire.
And so we were taking a look at some photos there. You know, what kind of training will Ukrainian forces need with these systems, and how soon do you expect them to be deployed, and where exactly will they go?
Well, we'd all like to get them into use as quickly as possible, but it's not just a question of handing them over to the Ukrainians and giving them the keys and telling them to go at it. There's training for the operators to learn how to use the fire control system, to learn how to do the targeting, because this is a very different kind of system. They also have to learn how to handle the rocket pods, because these are essentially big tubes of explosives. And then there's the maintainers who have to learn how to take care of the rocket system and then also the truck. DoD says it's about 3 weeks. That's a very short amount of time. When a U.S. unit transitions, they give the unit several months to do the transition. Once they are transitioned, though, and the Ukrainians put them into effect, put them out to the front, they'll probably use them along the entire front. But the two places I expect to see the most are one around Kharkiv in the northeast. And the reason there is that the Russian artillery is still attacking the city, still shelling the city. And I think the Ukrainians will want to stop that. And then, of course, in the east there, in the Donbass, particularly around Severodonetsk, where there's intense fighting, Russians are heavily concentrated there, and I expect that the Ukrainians will send these new systems there also.
You just mentioned right there that we know these attacks are not stopping. But the Biden administration says Ukraine is giving assurances the rockets will not be fired into Russia itself. Let's listen to what the Pentagon had to say.
We have no intention of coming into direct conflict with Russia. We don't have an interest in the conflict in Ukraine widening to a broader conflict or evolving into World War III. So we've been mindful of that. But at the same time, Russia doesn't get a veto over what we send to the Ukrainians. The Ukrainians didn't start this war. The Russians did. The Ukrainians didn't provoke this war. This war was unprovoked.
All right, so we just heard that sound there, Colonel. Talk about why that's so important.
Well, there are a couple of things in there. First, attacking the Russian homeland, of course, is very sensitive. The missiles, the rockets have a range of about 70 or 80 kilometers. That's sort of 45, 50 miles. Mostly that will allow them to attack the Russian units inside occupied Ukraine. But in theory, they could attack the Russian homeland. We have not provided, we're not going to provide the Ukrainians with a really long-range system. It's called ATACMS. That goes out 190 miles. That's for strategic targets like airfields, headquarters, logistics bases, and those would be in the Russian homeland. Very sensitive there. The president wants to avoid that. On the other hand, as the spokesperson said, the Russians don't get a veto here, and the Russians have a system that's very much like HIMARS. It's called SMERSH. They're using it in Ukraine right now. So it's really disingenuous of them to say that this is some sort of escalation.
All right, we'll certainly see what happens. All right, retired Colonel Mark Cancian, thank you so much.
Thanks for having me on the program.
Thank you for watching. Go to newsnationnow.com to find NewsNation on your television provider. And don't forget to click the red subscribe button below to get more of NewsNation's fact-driven, unbiased coverage.